Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, my day was very frustrating, primarily because I did have to work today and I do have to work on Friday. I don't work on Monday, but it's the principle. I don't believe Christmas Eve should be seen as a business day. That's just me. I am not used to working on Christmas. The company I work for is lucky they pay me well. Otherwise, like, I don't know, man. It was a very hard day for me because I felt isolated from the people that I love the most, right? And when you're dealing with Christmas and the holiday, and these are religious holidays, um, I just think it's important to be able to spend that time with the people that you love. So I'm stuck at work with people I don't love, and I'm just like, what the dude? So it's been a tough day. But other than that, I hope everyone had a good Christmas Eve. I've just kind of been unwinding and relaxing before the actual holiday. But I wanted to talk about this JD Vance stuff, man. Let me tell you guys something. This is why, as a black woman, I'm doing myself a disservice, and I'm actually very disgusted with the way that Trump's administration has really turned out to be. Um, and I say this because I am a black woman first, meaning I will never disown or downplay or disre like, I don't quite understand a lot of the things that I'm seeing right now. And it's blatant racism. The things that we're seeing take place is bold in your face racism. Um JD Vance, first off, this comment about a woman's nails. What did he say about Jasmine Crockett? Oof, that irked my nerves. Okay. Because, first of all, when people take petty shots like that, and when I'm talking about your person, like they take shots that are irrelevant to the conversation at hand, it's because they're not winning that battle. When I listen to Jasmine Crockett, I don't know that I agree with everything that she states. Again, she's another intelligent black woman. I don't care how she sounds to other folks. Her intelligence level, her ability to outwin anybody in an argument. It would be interesting to see her and Candace Owens sit down. She's a very intelligent woman, regardless of the weave, regardless of the nails, regardless of her appearance. And obviously, like she said, she has the credentials to back it up. It bothers me when I see a man take a cheap shot at a woman because that's not even his place. That to me is the behavior of a sassy boy. Men don't address women, women address women, meaning that his wife, his colleague, somebody, woman, should have been addressing her as a woman. It should never be a man that's out of pocket. It's out of line. Like, if she had a husband, you just bypassing the husband to deal with her. That's wild. That's out of pocket. Number one. You don't speak as a man. Let me tell you something. Men don't speak to women. He's a whole married man. What are you doing talking to a woman? And the reason why it ain't another woman talking to this woman is because they can't win the battle. They just never seem to win the battle. Whether I agree with Jasmine Crockett or not, she's very intelligent. And I think because she is so intelligent, you have folks like a JD Vance who's actually quite intimidated. That's the only reason. Because if you really had something worthy to say you're not gonna go to, oh, your fake nails. Like, what the fuck do you care about her nails for? The women, Erica Kirk got some fake nails, guaranteed. Let's put money on it. She definitely got weave in her hair. Are we talking about that? So I don't understand how a black woman who chooses to go get her nails done, somehow he thought that that was like a justified uh comment. Like, what, you mad because you can't sleep with that or what? Like, I'm confused. You're the vice president. To me, that was an out of pocket comment, period. You should know how to debate better than that. He sounded like the black men that be broke, that can't get a real black woman, can't get a fine ass black woman because she costs too much. And he trying to tear her down, talking about her weave and her nail. Like, eh, I don't know. It gives, little boy. It just does. I don't give a damn who says he's charming and dashing and cute, and no, fuck that. That shit was weird. A man should never address a woman, especially when you got a problem. That was out of pocket. And I understand that some boys that ain't really quite men won't understand what I'm talking about. But if you ask a man that you know is the image of a man, they're going to tell you the same thing. You don't address a woman. Like, that's weird. That's like me. And you just don't do that. You address, I mean, I don't know, but he shouldn't have spoke on her nails. I mean, if we're going to have an intellectual debate, then let's talk about something that's intellectual. Let's politics, right? Not no goddamn nails. So the fuck what if her nails are faked? So was Erica Kirk's. And this idea that oh well, she shouldn't and let me hold on, let me back up because I'm about to get on something else too. It irks my soul, and this is where I think the racism kind of really plays into it, is because I know this because I worked with a colleague once who told me, who went out of her way to tell me that her eyelashes were real. Not a topic of conversation that was part of the conversation. Like, she just felt like she needed to address it, bring it up. And what I love, see, the thing about me is I could turn around and be like, so are mine, right? But it was the way in which she was bringing it up that really made me question her legitimacy in terms of what you trying to say. Like, what you trying to say? Are you trying to imply that mines ain't real? Because that's how it came across. But I didn't address it as such, but I'm going to let you know my shit's real too. Like, I get it. And so what irks my nerves is that you have a topic of conversation that black men have really brought to the white community. Okay? Because these weren't our hair, the way in which we maintain ourselves. It was never really like a conversation until like recently, when you're dealing with men who are having a difficult time, right? Being men, getting girls, right? So now these conversations are obviously at the forefront of some of these males' minds, especially when you're dealing with the red pill community, who majority of the red pill community voted for Trump, right? So you've got a vice president who believes a lot of these things in terms of the degradation of women, right? Regardless of what he says, it's obvious. And not only that, but he's got an element of racism that he likes to turn up and play and engage in. Him, Elon Musk, and the shit's obvious. It's not no shit that we could just be like, as a black person, you just gonna be like, oh, well, maybe that's not quite. No, it's blatant racism. When you speak on this girl, when you're saying she's a street girl, fuck, black people have different pasts than some of these white people, but that don't mean that we're any less competent. It's unfortunate that you would think that, okay, she grew up in the streets. Man, some of these streets people are pretty smart. I mean, they just may not have done nothing with themselves. But I'm just saying, like, if anything, book smart and street smart is a weapon. That is something to be proud of because you ain't gonna get caught in these streets if you're smart enough, right? You gonna know how to be able to maneuver and get, do what you gotta do to survive. But at the same time, you've got the book smarts behind you that actually makes you a whole force to be reckoned with. See, this is why in reality, right, when we're talking about strength, this is why Black women are so strong, is because part of our reality is having to survive. So if we was to marry a man, right, a lot of us, I would hope, no, you don't give up your income, right? We don't do stupid shit because we done already been there, done that. And I was actually about to go on a whole tangent with that too, but I cut it off. So that's all I'm saying is a lot of the shit that these women are crying about, right? These trad wives, these ex trad wives, these divorced trad wives are crying about. Black women done already experience, right? We've experienced manipulation on so many different levels from a very young age. Some of us make it through that, some of us don't. But our lives, the strength that comes from the struggle that we've experienced, and keep in mind, all of our experiences are different. It doesn't, just because we're Black don't mean we come from no hood. That's I don't even understand that. How do you know that Jasmine Crockett even came from the street? Like, I was like, man, you must have really did your homework or something. How you know she from the streets? How you don't know that may be just how she talk? And she speaks properly. I don't get any ghetto from how she speaks. She's just different and she's loud and she's vocal. So unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but fortunately, whatever, folks are hearing a Black woman fucking speak. Welcome to reality. Like, okay, that don't take anything away from the work that she's done to get in her seat. And for any man to speak on a woman, like, that shit's weird. Especially when it comes to the negative aspect of with things. Talking about her nails are fake. So why the fuck do you care? You ain't her nigga. As a matter of fact, as her wife, as his wife, I would feel some type of way. Why are you so focused on her nails? When was the last time you paid for me to go get my nails done? And I'm not saying that he ain't. I'm just saying it is weird. It was a weird, odd detail to kind of point out that he don't quite know if it's real or not. He's just assuming because she's a Black woman and Black men have been telling the Black community that we all wear wigs and we all got fake nails and none of us got hair and eyelashes and all this bullshit. That ain't true. So that was out of pocket. It automatically brought him from trying to take him seriously down to like, okay, you young, you clearly are not your grandfather. Like, you're not a man. Like, he's still a little boy. That's why he over here flirting with a Erica Kerr. I'm just saying. He's still very much hasn't fully grown into his masculine. That's why he be wearing the eyeliner and stuff that he be having on. Weirdo. For real. Y'all just be letting anybody in, I guess. But it's a sight to see what's happening, man, because I don't know. I'll never stand behind this shit. I'll never rock with this shit. First term, okay, cool. And unfortunately, the only other option was a Hillary Clinton. I didn't feel that was the best option for me. This term, I wasn't convinced. My spirit just couldn't get behind voting. I just couldn't do it, man. And I'm glad I did not. I would have felt so guilty in my soul. I would have felt so guilty, man, because I voted this stupid party in. It's a stupid party. JD Vance should have never won the VP slot at all. I don't know how he did. I don't know how folks forgot about his allegiances, right? It's not towards what people think it is, right? It ain't necessarily Trump. You see them putting him at the forefront as if Trump is already dang near gone. Like, I'm not feeling it. Okay. Um, and the whole interaction with Erica bothers me because he's got a wife. And also something that you've got to learn for y'all don't know about these so-called red pill men that speak down and bad about women, black or white. They can't get a woman. They're so weird. They're so socially awkward. They're so out of place with themselves. They're not attractive to women. This is why you have a lot of women saying, you know what? Nope, I'm not having kids. Nope. I'm done with relationships, right? Because there's not a lot of viable candidates. Like, in order for a woman to want to spend the rest of her life, like marriage is serious. And in order for a woman to want to spend the rest of her life with you, she has to really feel like she can spend the rest of her life with you. Like, you've actually have to be a likable, respectable individual. That's most women, unless they haven't fully grown up, right? So a lot of these males just don't like women. It's not because women are doing anything wrong in that way to where there's so many men that despise women, like to the point where we're seeing all these topics of conversations happen, right? Like, men got a fucking option, like, since when? Like, no offense, but in my reality, shoot, the way that I think, I don't know. I'm gonna do what the hell I want to do, and you can like it, love it, or hate it. It don't matter to me as long as I'm not being restricted with how I can move. Right? That's how I feel. So it's a lot of men out here that cannot get a girl. They cannot. And unfortunately, that does something to the mind of boys and men who are um who are rejected on a regular basis. So I feel personally that you're dealing with a man who, and this is just my opinion based upon what I see, who struggled getting women. And he just so happened to come across his wife, who is now the girl that's now his wife, and she was probably low key a bit awkward too, right? Because our society doesn't cling to people from India. I think the way that we would like to show. We're just in reality, we don't really. That's not really, like, I don't know. It's a completely different. I don't know how to say it. I just know that American society does not embrace. We do more so now because these folks have surpassed us in ways of education and employment and stuff like that. But realistically, we haven't really fully warmed up to the idea of, like, including these. I don't want to sound like these people, but I'm just saying, including certain types of groups into the mix. Let's put it that way. It's the same thing with blacks, right? But I'm just saying, as an American culture, we have maybe one, two, three out of the bunch, right? It's we haven't fully come to real, genuine levels of acceptance. So the girl was probably and she's intelligent, right? That also makes her. You could already tell the phenotype of what she could have been possibly in college. So you got two people that nobody is socially, like, attracted to, And maybe friend wise, and okay, I think of Stranger Things, maybe Dungeons and Dragons, right? I think of stuff like that. But in terms of like you going on a date tonight, no, that wasn't happening. And I think that's how them two probably connected and that's how they bonded. Because the way he's acting is the moment he gets a little bit of attention from this woman, Erica, he done forgot who the hell he married. He done forgot where he the fuck came from. He talking about how he wished she would have converted to Christianity. You've been with her how many years? The lady got gray hair in her hair. How long have you been with her? And you talking down on her not converting? You already knew this. You deep down, I mean, no, there's no way. Y'all done had kids together. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Shit's weird, right? It's just questionable. And it makes me really question his masculinity, which explains why the dynamics, you could easily see a Handmaid's Tale coming of all this. Because you're dealing with a man whose ego is fragile. That's why he want to throw cheap shots at a woman. Why? Because she sounds different than you? The fuck? Good. We don't need everybody to look alike and sound alike. It would be a very boring place if that was the case. And I think when you're dealing with this kind of administration that seems to go unchecked, because unfortunately there's a lot of people who voted for this, right? There's a lot of people who have a stake in this administration, seeing themselves through and doing what they're doing. There's a lot of scapegoating. There's a lot of lack of accountability. There's a lot of lack of acknowledgement of things that are obviously worth those things. So it's easy to point the finger at a Jasmine Crockett than to point the finger at yourself. Because unfortunately, this is what these folks signed up for. It is what it is. So then this nigga had the nerve to go on, excuse my N word today, but shoot, it's been a long day. This had the nerve to talk about DEI, right? And DEI. Yeah, we're working really hard, something to the effect of he's cracking down, they got getting almost doing away with DEI. And everybody in the crowd goes, yeah, woo, right? That's weird. It's just the weirdest DEI at this point. Once I learned what it meant and who folks were trying to attach to the word, I told y'all I ain't never heard of the word DEI until like a year or two. Whenever they first came out, started talking about this, the Trump administration. I ain't never heard of that. And it doesn't affect the people. Okay, so black people aren't affected by it the way I think people want to make it seem like. Like black women aren't affected by DEI. Not directly. Like not in the sense that okay, we fired all these people because they weren't qualified. That's such an intelligent is such an intelligent sentence that people like to regurgitate. Is not true. You can't get a job if you're not qualified. There's certain jobs that you cannot get if you're not qualified. They're not just picking up people off the streets, changing their lives and being like, boom, here's a government job. That's not how that's working. Folks, black women, because they are some of the most educated people, they do and are qualified for these positions. So it bothers me that there's a whole narrative that people want to believe behind DEI. Meanwhile, DEI is impacting their own people. So it's you got white women that are benefiting from DEI more so than a lot of other people that you would think are benefiting from it. It's wild to me that you got folks in the crowd, white women. That's how you know the intelligence levels are not there, right? You got Asian men in the crowd, right? All these minorities in the crowd that are like, yeah, DEI, woo! Huh? So I don't think let me help you let me help you y'all put this in perspective. Because see, y'all only seem to understand it when we're looking at DEI as it so supposedly relates to black women. But what happens if you Susie is married to Tom, right? And Tom decides, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. Susie, you and me are divorced. Susie been dependent on Tom her whole life. Susie get out of this marriage, she ain't got no job, she ain't got no income, she ain't got shit. She in a town, hypothetically, with a whole bunch of men. I mean, maybe some women, add some women in there, but the people who own everything is men. Susie goes and applies for a job. Now, in a DEI society, the way that works is it makes it possible for Susie to get a position, right? Simply because one she has to be qualified, but it allows her to have the opportunity to get that position. Let's say we're not in a DEI world. I'm not saying that this is the case in every situation or if it's happened, or I'm not saying any of that. Let's say we take away DEI. The man doesn't like that Susie doesn't appear to be into him. He decides that he's not going to give her an opportunity to show and prove her worth to get that job, and or he doesn't hire her despite the fact that she's qualified to do the job and she showed up well and everything else. Believe it or not, there was a time where women could not do these things. The things that we do today, this wasn't that long ago. We weren't able to work. We weren't able to have bank accounts. We weren't able to do certain things that women have worked so hard for. And I know that women have been tricked into this idea that, oh, we shouldn't want to work. I mean, nobody wants to work, but I like the lifestyle that I live as a result of working. You see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna downgrade, be homeless and shit because I don't want to go to work. And I would never fight for my right to be taken away. If anything, I should have the exact same rights as any other human being on the planet. However, you've got these women nowadays that are supporting these policies that only work against them. You've got minorities that hate black people so bad that they voting against themselves. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's every minority that you know. It don't matter if you claim to be white, because we all know that regardless what you put on that paper, you go into some place, they're judging you based upon your skin color. That's the facts. So that's irrelevant. So that is just what baffles me, is how many people think that the Republican Party is going in this state, right? Because this is a little different than what I've seen in my lifetime. I'm sure my grandma and grandpa and great grandma and grandma, they probably seen their stuff back in their day. But in my lifetime, this is what I feel like in terms of what I can remember of politics. This racism is pretty obvious. It's not covert, it's very in your face. It ain't like the dude had the nerve to say, we can stop apologizing for being white. What? Like, what does that mean? I don't know that black people ever made, I mean, outside of Black Lives Matter, but that was white people doing that shit. That ain't, I mean, no offense. Black Lives Matter, it was more white people in that crowd than anybody. That's on them. You bowing to fucking black men and shit. That's your stupid ass doing that. Didn't nobody tell you had to do it. You just did it for whatever reason. But I don't know of another time that white people have ever apologized for being white. And what does that mean? Because unfortunately, we are learning about the religious aspect of things. And no offense, y'all, that's like zombie shit. Once they get them indoctrinated, good luck. It's a whole lot of folks growing up with them these doctrines that these folks are like putting in them, and they're programmed to think and move and be a certain way. Like I said, that's another reason why I can't. I'll be damned if I support the Trump movement, because you got people supporting you that don't even, they think I'm, like I said, how the hell you think I'm cursed? Because that's what you was taught. You was taught that learning history, true American history, unless the history is not true, why aren't you sitting in these classes and learning about them as a young teen? Why is this such a big deal? These aren't things being done that say, you got to apologize to be white. It's showing the history because you don't want it to repeat itself. It's like, how about we educate everybody on what happened? Hopefully, we can learn from it, bad or good, and be able to move forward. But that hasn't happened yet because you have a section of the population that feels like, oh, well, learning about American history and what my ancestors did to other people is causing some sort of fragility. The religious aspect of it, oh well, they're cursed and I'm superior, like that shit's weird. I promise you this is not what black people be on. Some sections of the black community probably, but this ain't what's on our mind every day, because we don't have the luxury to sit and think about shit like this, to be honest. Those of us who know our history, we know who we are. We don't have to like repeat it every day to believe it. So I don't quite understand the comment, the statement. I mean, I know what it means, but it's like, why did you feel like you need to say that? If anything, this world is pretty much ran by white people. Well, my reality. I'm not saying the world because I don't know that. I'm talking about my reality, right? I don't go work for anybody else outside of a white man, right? I bought my car from a person who owns the dealership. 9 times out of 10 is a white man. Like, I don't know what we're apologizing for. I mean, what folks are apologizing for. I don't recall us ever asking white people to apologize. We don't want your apology. What does that do? You don't even know what you're apologizing for. You pretend not to know. So what are we? I mean, I don't understand what that was. But what it tells me is that there are things that are being said to ignite certain types of conversations and behaviors that do not serve me. That's what I know. I think there's a better way to go about it. Like, I mean, damn, you ain't got to be so bold. But I also think you're still dealing with the aspect of I don't want to label it toxic masculinity. I just feel like you're dealing with a different breed of boys, men, whatever you want to call them. And so, unfortunately, I do not feel like a JD Vance has fully grown up in certain aspects. And so he says certain things with arrogance. I would say it's arrogance. And he knows what he's doing, but he's also causing chaos in between, right? I don't quite think he knows. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing in terms of the manipulation. I don't think he's, how can I say this? I don't believe that a JD Vance is truly qualified. I understand he got to where he's at, but I'm screaming DEI. I don't think he's truly qualified to sit in that seat. That's just me personally. Right? Obviously, he got there by whichever way he got there. But I am not seeing signs of a vice president. I'm seeing signs of a wounded boy. And I say wounded because I mean it, who was rejected most of his life by women, who takes that out on everybody else. That's just my opinion. I could go deeper on it, but that's my opinion. So I'm very disappointed. Like I said, I don't really like this administration. I really thought that this is another thing too. There was a huge mistake in this administration taking on a JD Vance as vice president. And I want people to remember when Trump was first running, a lot of folks were against JD Vance, and somehow folks just voted for the shit anyway. Understand that a JD Vance is still who he is. Okay, he is a wolf in sheep's clothing, but he ain't really quite giving me wolf vibes either. He's ran by other people, hence Peter Thiel and what's his name, Elon Musk. That's what I'm getting. So I don't. JD Vance has said a lot of things, to be honest with you, that has shown that he doesn't have certain levels of respect for people of color. And I don't care if you doing it to ignite a fan base, just to keep your base going, to remain relevant. I don't care what the intent is. When you speak down on a group of people, there is no, for me, there's no, how can I say this? There's no, like, you need to be taking accountability for that shit for me to be like, oh, it didn't happen. Like, for me to just move on. But there's never going to be accountability because that's who we're dealing with, right? I mean, no offense. I highly doubt this man even knows that he's saying is ignorant. But I don't like it. I don't like this administration, man. I don't like the disrespect. I think it goes beyond black fatigue. I think folks are using this opportunity as a time to truly show who they are. And all it does is prove black people when we say that racism still exists in this country. So we can't even stop talking about race because the aspect of racism is so clear and in our face. But this is what people voted for. So that's my take on it, man. I give this man a thumbs down. I know he's probably some of y'all saviors, but I stand for right is right and wrong is wrong. I'm not going to switch that because of the party we're dealing with. It's a lot of people who forget their morals when it was the other way around and the Democrats were doing their thing. You had Republican people calling this shit out left and right. But now when the shit is in their own fucking party, they want to act like, oh, they don't see it. The shit stinks. The entire situation stinks. And if this man becomes president in 2028, whoo, Lord have mercy, y'all. Y'all can bet a Handmaid's Tale, because Erica Kirk gives me vibes that one woman in the Handmaid's Tale, the wife, the wife, June Osborne's wife, woman, or the woman that she was being a surrogate to, or whatever. Well, I forgot the girl's name. But that's what Erica Kirk, I could easily, because she's still pushing that BS trad wife life. And again, If it works for some women, it works. But I mean, there's a lot of women coming out and saying that that ain't quite it, right? So obviously, it depends on you, your situation. I'm not trying to put all trad wives down. I'm not trying to say nothing. I'm just saying there's a lot of this nonsense amongst the culture in which some of these women are being bred out of or in. So let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Do y'all think JD Vance was proper to say what he said? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And let me know why. With that being said, y'all, I'm out. Peace.